Okay, hello. Thank you, Jack Lord, for organizing this event at maraming salamat po sa inyong pagtangkilik at pag-attend sa webinar natin ngayon at hopefully kayo po ay talagang okay pa din, no, surviving. Alam ko marami tayong mga kailangang ayusin sa ating operations at napakadaming uncertainties. So I would like to share with you our research and our thoughts on what could happen in this pandemic. So I'll talk about social microfinance, the new normal in pro-poor financial service delivery. So I see here na maraming mga familiar, no? Andiyan pala si Sir Bong, nakikita ko si Attorney Bong, sila Ninfa, sila Miss Luz. So hello po sa inyong lahat. Yun. So let me start my presentation by introducing SEDPI, Group of Social Enterprises. At ito po yung aming organization. I think in one of our events before ay baka naka-attend kayo. So kami po ay group of social enterprises na may 6 na organizations. So meron tayong training, research, consulting, financing, real estate, publications, rural banking, at saka meron din po tayong Singapore office for our OFW sector. So yung SEDPI po stands for Social Enterprise Development Partnerships Incorporated. And ayan, so training, research, and consulting po yung ginagawa natin in the fields of microfinance, social entrepreneurship, financial literacy, ayan, pro-poor market development, disaster and climate change, at saka gender and development. So over the years, we have trained about more than 50,000 microenterprises in the Philippines. Tapos tayo din po ay nagbibigay ng consulting and mentoring training sa 7,000 socially oriented organizations worldwide. So yung iba po sa inyo ay nabigyan natin ng training dyan, no? Sa Progressive Bank, sa Kasanyagan, sa Abuyog. At we also provide training to Filipino migrants abroad at nasa 25,000 na po yung nabigyan natin ng training doon. Okay, so we also have our government project. So with the Climate Change Commission, doing climate smart agriculture. Tapos meron po tayong project ngayon sa Mindanao with the with the Italian government. Nagbibigay tayo ng microfinance and agripreneurship capacity building sa 35 agrarian reform beneficiary organizations. With the Department of Agrarian Reform, we also provided assistance, no, on the micro-agri loan product before. And yun, we generated about 1.5 million in terms of savings and share capital for that project. Sa co-op NATCO din, meron tayong project dyan. Gumawa tayo ng operations manual na siyang sinunod nila for their microfinance operations. No? Ito yung kanilang co-op. Recently, about 2 years ago, we were tapped by the Asian Development Bank to float an $80 million bond for ASA Philippines at tumulong po tayo in that area. Okay, so ito po yung result ng aming rapid community assessment on the impact of COVID-19 to microenterprises. So what we did here as nung nagsimula yung lockdown, every week po ay nagkakandak tayo ng research sa mga microfinance members natin. And although, of course, hindi ito representative sample ng buong Pilipinas kasi ang operations po namin ay sa Agusan del Sur at saka sa Surigao del Sur lamang. But we believe that this is a microcosm, no? It could represent what is actually happening all over. And later siguro mamaya ay pag-usapan natin kung kayo po ba ay nakakaranas din ng parehong observations. So yung member profile lang po namin, we have 8,000 microenterprises in Agusan and Surigao that we are supporting. We started this in 2017, no? So self-employed, informal sector, 88% are women, 42% 42 yung average na age at 95% ng mga members natin ay below 20,000 ng kanilang loans. So ang talaga pong pina-prioritize natin ay yung mga nasa lower bottom of the pyramid, no, na tinatawag. Yun. Tapos, ang member profile po natin ay 77% sa kanila ay married, greater than 5 ang family members, at saka marami ang greater than 3 ang children. So talagang yan yung profile ng ating low-income groups, no? At on the gender lens naman, ito yung nakita natin, no, na economic role ng women doon sa area. So 57% are main breadwinners doon sa mga members namin. So talagang napapakita dito na ang kababaihan ay engine of economic the economy, no, in the lower segments. And 62% doon sa mga may asawa ay may kinikita din yung kanilang asawa, no, yung kanilang bana, no, yung sa Bisaya. Okay. So yun, maglaro nga muna tayo. So pwede po ba kayong mag-comment ng agree or mag-chat ng agree if you observe the same profile of microfinance clients in your community? Sige nga, para lang maging interactive naman kahit papano ang ating balitaktakan. At titignan ko ang inyong mga chinachat para mabasa natin. Okay, nasaan na ba yun? Sige, so titignan natin mamaya, ha? Okay, so ito po yung resulta na nakita namin, no? Ang coping mechanisms ng mga microenterprises during the COVID-19, nasa 9% ang mga nagbenta ng mga ari-arian na tinatawag natin na distress selling of assets. So wala sa panahon yung kanilang pagbebenta at ibinenta nila yung ari-arian nila at a lower price. So that's one of the negative effect, no, nakita natin. Tapos nasa kalahati po yung kumuha ng loan, humingi ng tulong sa community, or gumamit ng kanilang savings. So coping mechanism din nila yan. 85% yung sabi nila meron kaming insurance, no? Either death or health to be able to address the pandemic. Tapos 98% yung nakakuha ng government assistance. Okay? So yan yung coping mechanism na nakita namin. So what we want to see here is less of the accessing of loans sana at saka distress selling of assets, and more of the financial inclusion strategies, which is savings and insurance. So yan yung natin, no, yung gusto natin sana na ma-strengthen. Based on the demand outlook, this is what we saw, no? So yung nung April 30, when we asked bago ito magbukas, bago mag-GCQ doon sa area na pwede nang mag-open ng mga businesses, tinanong natin ang mga microenterprises kung ano yung outlook nila, no, sa pagbubukas. At sabi nila, halos kalahati yung nagsabi na madami ang bibili, no, doon sa kanilang pagbubukas ng negosyo. Unfortunately, nung nag-transpire siya, May 8, 31% lang yung naka-experience na malakas. And then May 15, 13% lang yung nagsabi na malakas ang kanilang benta. So conversely, ang nakita po natin ay yung mga humina, yung kanilang negosyo sa kanilang pagbubukas ay from 44% pumunta ng 78%. So ito po ay malinaw na malinaw na nakikita natin na talagang mahina at saka medyo may kabagalan ang recover natin sa ating economy at the bottom of the pyramid. Pero ang maganda naman dito, very confident sila on the supply side na mayroon silang makukuhang supply to be able to jumpstart their business. So nasa 80%. Ito naman yung nakita natin na assistance na nakuha nila from the government. Sa relief goods, makikita natin week by week, no, from April 6 to May 15. By the time na nag-April 24 ay halos lahat nakakuha na ng relief goods. This is against the cash assistance na medyo mabagal yung pagbibigay ng cash assistance. In fact, ang mga una nating nakita na nakakuha ng cash assistance ay yung mga members ng 4Ps na may land bank account. Dahil sila ay financially included at mabilis silang ma-identify sila yung mabilis na nakakuha ng cash assistance. So mayroon talagang clamor na dapat may financial inclusion, na tayo ay nakakapagbukas ng mga bank accounts para sa mga members natin, or at least i-recognize ng government na yung account sa mga microfinance institutions, savings account, are savings accounts also, na po pwede sanang doon na-receive yung cash assistance. So, yan yung nakita natin. And then, ito naman yung financing choice ng micro-enterprises na nakita natin. So, as you can observe, and this is very surprising kasi 47% noong nagsimula, ang sabi nila, we will resume with normal repayment after the lockdown kapag wala ng community quarantines. At ito ay tumaas to 68%. So that's about 7 out of 10 members saying na, hindi, magre-resume kami ng aming pagbabayad pagkatapos ng lockdown. Okay. Tapos, ang nakita din natin ay, yung mga nagsabi na magpapa-refinance sila ay kumonte, no? So from 23%, ito ay bumaba to 5% na lamang. So anong ibig sabihin nito? This is actually good news for us microfinance institutions kasi it provides us less pressure for funding, for liquidity. At kasi kakaunti yung magsasabi na gusto nila ng refinancing. And I think two things yung naka-apekto dito, no? So number one, yung expectation ng mga micro-enterprises na maraming buyers agad sa kanilang business, hindi nag-transpire. So dahil hindi nag-transpire, ang decision nila, hindi na lang muna sila magdadagdag ng utang kasi wala namang demand. Okay? So that's the first one. And then the second one is, nakatulong malamang yung cash assistance na na-receive nila from the government to be able to finance their daily needs. Kaya less yung kanilang pangangailangan for financing. Ayan. Tapos ayun, magpa-comment naman po yung answers natin dito para mas maging interactive, and then babasahin natin yung iba ninyong mga sagot. So, do you think loan would be the best way to provide funds for micro-enterprises? Ano po sa tingin ninyo? Sige nga, isulat ninyo yung inyong sagot. Tapos, titignan natin ang inyong mga Hindi ko makita yung chat natin ngayon. Bakit kaya? Okay, so let's be comfortable with silence. Bigyan ko kayo ng time to be able to digest what I just said. Okay? Yan, sige. So babasahin natin mamaya. Okay. So ito naman yung nakita natin, no, na we asked our participants, our micro-enterprises, ilang buwan sa tingin ninyo yung kakailanganin nyo to be able to bounce back from this pandemic kapag okay na kayo na mag-business. Noong April 30, walang sumagot ng less than 1 month. Pero ang makikita natin dito, as nag-move along nung May 8, 14% na yung nagsabi na in 1 month magbabounce back kami. Tapos, nung May 15, 19% na yung nagsabi na sila ay magbabounce back. So, naging positive yung tingin ng micro-enterprises sa kanilang recovery. And medyo stable yung nagsasabi na 1 to 2 months kasi 52 to 74% yung nagsasabi. So if we take a look at this, majority ng mga micro-enterprises natin ang nagsasabi na within 1 to 2 months, we will be able to bounce back. Granted, mayroon kaming financing at nandyan yung demand, may supply to be able to restart our businesses, no? At dito natin makikita sa May 15 na medyo may 4% na nagsabi na 6 months yung aabutin namin bago maka-bounce back at saka 3 to 4 months yung 25% naman. So mas naging spread out yung expectation as the pandemic is unfolding. Pero just the same, nakikita talaga natin yung trait ng Filipino, lalong-lalo na yung mga nasa low-income groups na hindi talaga nawawalan ng pag-asa. At na nandyan pa rin, kahit na naka-experience sila na bumaba yung demand for their products and services, they are still hopeful that they will be able to bounce back. And I think this is a very, very important trait na kailangan nating i-appreciate ngayon, no? And then a lot of them ang nakakatuwa dito, noong nagsimula kami na mag-research from April 6, tapos pagdating ng April 30, ay hindi na relief goods yung hinahanap ng mga members, anong mga microenterprises. At ang mas hinahanap na nila ay cash, no? Ay work, no? After the lockdown, gusto daw nila na magkaroon ng trabaho, ng opportunity na magkaroon ng trabaho. At ang malaking clamor talaga ay magkaroon ng cash assistance after the lockdown. And I think na-demonstrate na kaya naman pala na magbigay ng gobyerno to be able to assist low-income groups ng cash. At mas kasi kapag cash versus goods yung ibibigay, kapag cash, mas may bargaining power at saka mas may power of choice ang mga micro-enterprises kung saan nila dadalhin yon. Kapag relief goods kasi ay minsan madalas ay hindi fit kung ano yung pangangailangan nila na binibigay. I think may experience tayo dyan sa Yolanda, no, at sa ibang mga sa Taal. Relief goods ang binibigay, puro damit, pero lahat ang dami-dami ng damit, hindi na damit yung kailangan. Mas flexible kasi ang cash, at ang cash, kapag cash pa yung ibinigay natin sa local economy, ito ay mag-i-spur ng economic growth, no? Kasi mayroong purchasing power na nangyayari. Kaya maganda talaga yung cash assistance over relief goods. So ito yung summary ng microenterprise status findings natin. So mayroong savings and insurance yung mga microfinance clients natin. That's for protection for death and sickness, especially for the insurance. Pero they experience muted sales kasi yung demand expectation nila ay hindi nag-transpire. Pero mayroon namang sourcing, source para sa kanilang supplies. And most prefer to resume their normal payments within 2 weeks to 1 month after the bridge period after the lockdown. So, and then there is less need for refinancing, and there is hopeful and fast recovery na nakikita nila. Pero ang sinasabi nila ay mayroong daw need for cash assistance. Okay, so financial behavior, ano ba yung naging nila? Sa tingin niyo po, tanong ulit, so isasagot natin ito. What's more important for low-income groups? Loans or savings in this time of the pandemic? I-comment nyo nga yung inyong mga sagot, tapos ay babasahin natin mamaya. Si Dimples, ikaw ay nag-ano, no? Dimps, hindi ko kasi mabasa yung mga chinachat ng mga participants. Maybe because I'm sharing the screen or I'm the one presenting. Pero pwede bang sa chat group natin ay sabihin mo sa akin yung ibang mga gist ng mga sinasabi ng mga participants so I can also react to what they're saying. So, yun. Ano ba yung mas importante? So, loans ba or savings? So, tignan natin, no? Ano yung naging resulta. So, tinanong namin yung mga members namin, no? Kailan nyo kayang magbayad ng weekly payment? So, this was before the start of the GCQ. 59% ang nagsabi na 1 month pa daw after the GCQ. So, that already gives us an idea na, okay, majority of our members, ang expectation nila ay after a month pa sila makakapag-resume ng kanilang normal repayments. Okay? Tapos, 18% yung nagsabi na next week. So, that is 2 out of 10. No? Yung nagsabi na Uy, next week sir, makakapagbayad na kami. Tapos, 21% yung nagsabi na 2 weeks daw after kapag nagsimula na yung GCQ. And then 3 weeks yung 10%. So, ito yung sinabi nila. Tapos, tinignan namin doon sa, namin, no, sa aming collections. Kasi once nung nag-lift na yung GCQ, we already started collections, pero voluntary. Yung mga gustong magbayad lang. Kasi may nagsabi na 2 out of 10 ay pwede na daw silang magbayad. So sa experience po ng SEDPI, ang ilang porsyento yung nagbayad? 11% yung nag-repay ng kanilang loans. So may 7% na nagsinungaling, di ba? So yun yung nakikita natin. Pero I think as nagta-transpire kasi, baka previous week akala nila kaya nila, pero nung week na yon ay hindi nag-transpire yung kanilang expectations. So yan yung sa savings. Tapos ito naman yung tinanong din namin, no? Makakapag-save ka na ba next week? So nung April 30, ang sabi nila 29%, tapos by May 8, 65% na yung nagsabi na oo, makakapag-save kami. Tapos so yung sabi na hindi 71, tapos bumaba 35, no? So dito makikita natin na mas gusto na talagang mag-save ng mga microenterprises kaysa sa mag-access ng loan or magbayad ng utang. So that's a very interesting finding na nakita namin. And ano yung actual na nag-transpire during May 8? So yung April 30, yan yung sabi nila, 29% sa amin ay makakapag-save next week, which is the May 8 date. No? So the expectation is on April 30. So ang nakita natin ay 22% naman yung nakapag-save sa kanila. So 7% pa rin yung nagsinungaling. So kapareho, siguro same din lang yon yung mga hindi nagbayad ng kanilang repayments. Pero ang interesting dito ay we worry, as microfinance institutions, we worry a lot about the repayment of the loans, and that is very understandable. Pero a very important service that we should not forget to provide is also providing safe deposit accounts for our members na makukuha nila during the time of na mas kakailanganin nila. Ako ang hinala ko dito ay siguro yung 5,000 or 3,500 na nakuha nila from the cash assistance, part of it ay gusto muna nilang i-save. Tapos, sa kanila withdrawin para pagkailangan na nila para hindi nila magastos. Okay? Just to give you a background of our members, ang mga loan amount po namin ay talagang nagko-converge sa nasa 6,000 to 10,000 pesos. At makikita nyo po na yung 25% ay less than 5,000 at yung isa naman ay 20,000. Kaya yung talagang loan sizes namin ay nasa 3,000 to 20,000 pesos. Yan yung focus ng aming market. Okay? Tapos, tinanong namin kung magkano yung kapital na kakailanganin nila para makapagsimula, no? At makikita natin na marami ang nagsabi 5,000 to 7,000 pesos. Tapos sunod na yung 7,000 to 9 at saka 3,000 to 5,000. And so pag isa-summarize natin, this is 3,000 to 9,000. So if you take a look at it and analyze it, no, yung average loan amount ng nasa SEDPI ay nasa 5,000 to 20,000 pesos yung range. Pero nung tinanong namin sila, so paano po natin ito para makapagsimula kayo ulit, how much do you need? They're not asking for the loan that they accessed originally. Half lang, 3,000 to 9,000 pesos. So yung worry natin as microfinance institutions na naku, maraming cash ang kakailanganin to rebuild. Kalahati lang pala ng loan nila yung kakailanganin nila to start. At kailangan din nating tanggapin na hindi lang ikaw yung microfinance institution na mag-e-extend ng funds sa kanila. There are also other microfinance institutions. And you should think that way. Dapat iiwasan mo na ikaw yung magbibigay ng lahat ng pangangailangan because ikaw lahat yung mag-a-absorb ng risk na yan. So, i-consider dapat natin at this time na tayo ay iisang industry, magkakapatid tayo, magkakapamilya, at magtutulungan tayo, hati-hitiin natin yung 10,000 na pangangailangan ni nanay. Siguro, 3,000 yung manggaling kay Kasanyahan, 3,000 yung manggaling kay Memco, ganyan. Para mas-spread yung risk, no? When we address their needs to restart. Tapos ito, kasi ang totoo naman talaga ay may membership sila sa ibang MFI. So on average, 2 yung membership nila sa microfinance institutions aside from SEDPI. So 3 yung kanilang pinag-uutangan, no? And I think this is it rings a bell to you, no? So 28% yung 3, yung isa, tapos 13% yung meron pang additional na 3 na membership in other MFIs. Okay? So, yun. Tanongin nga natin, after what I said, do you agree na dapat multiple MFI membership? Good ba yun or bad? No? I-type nyo nga yung inyong answer. So, parang meron tayong poll ngayon, no? So, yan yung natin. Okay. So, yan yung sa akin kasi talaga I take a look as other microfinance institutions as collaborators. Hindi ko yan kino-consider na competitor. Yun yung tingin ko dyan. Okay? So tinanong natin magkano yung makukuha nila sa ibang MFIs at yun, maraming nagsabi na wala daw, no? Kalahati. Pero kalahati naman nagsabi na they would be able to access from other microfinance institutions. Okay? So, in terms of financial access, most members have 5 to 20,000 loans. They only need half of their loan amount to restart. So, that's about 3,000 to 9,000 pesos. And they are also members of other MFIs aside from SEDPI. And that's okay. Wala naman itong problema, no? And then they can access 3,000 to 11,000 from other MFIs. So talagang kailangan meron tayong informal syndication of loans para paghati-hatian natin yung risk, no? So what are we going to implement as rebuilding and recovery strategies dito sa natin sa in our own microfinance institution. So ito po yung gagawin ng SEDPI, no? We have 5 strategies. So the first one is cost plus capital and 0% loans. So we are moving away from interest-based loans. So doon po sa mga Muslim friends natin ay ito po yung very similar to Islamic finance, no? So, yun yung first strategy namin. And then, we will also be focusing on developing social safety nets, no? And then, access to government welfare programs kasi dapat talaga integrated yung government programs natin sa operations natin. Financial inclusion and financial literacy, and then mobilizing social investments. Okay. So, tama kayo, no? May mga nagsasabi talaga na savings ang mas gusto ng mga members natin kaysa loans kasi takot sila sa loans, no? So risk averse yung mga members natin. Okay. So ito po yung strategy namin. So we are providing capacity building sa mga microenterprises. Tapos meron pong we establish now joint ventures with them, no? Hindi na po loan agreement. So from loans to joint ventures. Pag nag-restructure sila, yung original loan amount nila will be spread out into a joint venture. Tapos kapag magre-reloan sila sa amin or kukuha sila ng kapital, mayroon na lang yon service fee na fixed, which is what we call the cost plus. Tapos hindi yan nagko-compound at hindi rin nag-a-accrue. Okay? So yun yung system natin. And then ito po yung elements ng joint venture natin. So on SEDPI's part, nagbibigay tayong financial literacy, agripreneurship, linking to market, socialized housing, insurance, and access to government services. Si nanay naman will provide their capital counterpart, which is actually yung compulsory savings before. And then, yung kanyang labor and day-to-day operations. So yun nga yung microenterprise ni nanay ay co-owner si SEDPI. No? And in this manner, nabubuo ang pag-iisang dibdib ng joint venture with the nanays. So with this strategy, we transform our borrowers to become partners talaga in development. Kasi yung creditor and debtor relationship dissolved na siya. Kapag hindi nakapagbayad si nanay, kapag creditor-debtor relationship, delinquency kasi ang tawag natin dun eh. Pero in our new mindset, kapag hindi nakapagbayad si nanay, ang pagtingin namin dun ay business partner natin siya. If she fails, it also means that we have failed. So we have to find a solution na makakabayad siya because we are co-owners of that micro-enterprise. So gagawa kami ngayon ng paraan para makabayad siya at hindi lang paniningil yung kailangan gagawin. No? If there would be dapat kailangan meron din kaming strategy on how to provide our nanays with livelihood opportunities. So, tutuloy pa rin yung savings, tapos yung aming social welfare protection program. Yung social welfare protection program naman po namin, that's the social safety nets. Pinaghalo po siya na commercial insurance that we got from clients. Meron kaming damayan system inside. Tapos, mayroon din po yung SSS and Pag-IBIG. Kasi ang pinakamurang insurance na nakita namin ay insurance ng SSS. Dahil magbabayad ka lang ng 240 pesos, in our case, our arrangement with the SSS, 240 pesos per member yung contribution na. Meron na siyang 20,000 pesos na death benefit. One-time payment lang yon. At kapag ina-explain namin yun sa mga nanay, very excited sila to avail. So, yun. Tapos meron din with Pag-IBIG. So, the next na project that we are going to do is na-realize namin dito sa pandemic na nahihirapan yung mga nanay mag-access ng government cash assistance dahil kulang sila ng identification documents. Wala silang ID, walang birth certificate. So we're also going to partner with the Philippine Statistics Authority para magkaroon ng birth certificate, and then makikipag-partner din kay Land Bank para makapagbukas ng bank account sa kanila so that they can readily access government benefits and assistance. So yung joint venture po namin, so that's a business arrangement between 2 or more persons with contributing money, property, expertise to a common fund. At ito po ay undertaking the investment activity together, and that's the micro-enterprise in our case. Ang pinaka-focus po dito ay sharing ng profit at saka ng losses. Pero in our principle, kung sino yung mas nagbigay ng malaking kapital, siya dapat ang mag-absorb ng losses. So in this case, kapag nag-fail ang micro-enterprise ni nanay, ang mag-absorb ng loss ay ang SEDPI. So yun yung framework na ginagamit namin ngayon. So the profit sharing and risk sharing scheme, yung service charge na i-charge namin sa mga members namin sa delivery ng services, hanggang dun lang yon. Hindi na siya mag-accrue at hindi siya magko-compound. After mabayaran ni nanay yon sa amin, lahat ng profit ay sa kanya. Okay? At kapag nagsara, SEDPI will absorb 80% of the losses. Tapos selection, and kaya dito napaka-importante talaga ng selection and education of our members. Okay? Tapos, so ang ginagawa din po namin ay yung pagmo-mobilize naman ng social investments para sa mga galing sa mga social investors at mostly overseas Filipino workers. We are already moving away from what we call the debt-driven development. No? Siguro marami sa inyo ang nagugulat sa mga kinukwento ko ngayon. Pero I really think that this is going to be the next wave of, and this is going to be the next phase of pro-poor financial service delivery. Moving away from debt, but focusing more on equity, on capital, which entails profit sharing and risk sharing. Kaya yung mga members po namin, ay they don't absorb all the risk. So nag-mobilize kami ng investments sa mga migrant domestic workers, at yun ay pumapasok na kapital sa SEDPI at ginagamit na pang-suporta sa mga women micro-entrepreneurs in rural areas. Tapos yung kita nun, mabibigyan ng dividend yung mga overseas Filipino workers. And right now, we are moving towards providing this also in the to Filipinos here. No? Sa social media ko ngayon, sa Facebook, ay nagmo-mobilize din kami ng ganyan, and we do this through joint ventures. So, how are we going to restart our microfinance operations? No, ito po yung mga policies namin. Of course, we are going to share this, pero kayo yung bahala na mag-customize and mag-adapt accordingly, no, in your operations. So dahil mas marami na ang bukas na negosyo, i-resume yung voluntary collection ng repayment, no? At we focus more on savings and on the insurance rather than on the loans. Magiging official lang yung mag-normalize lang yung collection sa June 1 pending na ma-lift yung GCQ, kapag wala na yung GCQ, kasi that's the only time na pwede na mag-normalize yung collection. Pero we are also trying to take into consideration na sinasabi kasi nila na mga kailangan nila ng mga 2 weeks to 1 month pa para na grace period para makabangon. Pero hindi pa yun na-finalize if we're going to do that. Okay, and then we are encouraging our members to save para hindi sila mabigla pag June 1. So magsisave sila ngayon, tapos yung savings nila for this GCQ period ay withdrawin, pwedeng yun yung pangbayad sa loan nila sa June 1 if they don't have enough cash, no, for during that time. Tapos, ang ibang MFI nga ay collaborator ng SEDPI. So, yun, nagugulat yung mga yung mga financial inclusion officers ko whenever I keep on repeating this. Ang card, ang ASA Philippines, kaibigan yan, hindi yan kaaway. Yan yung lagi kong sinasabi. At huwag i-resist ang temptation na magbigay ng malaking loan amount dahil ang ibang MFIs ay magbibigay din ng ng loan, no, ng exposure sa kanila. Huwag sasarilinin, no? We are also already starting our CIBI for those who are asking for restructuring and refinancing. Why? Dahil kailangan na nating makita na mayroon pang capacity to pay yung mga members natin before we even restructure and refinance. And since yan ay gagawin pa naman sa June 1, simulan na ngayon para hindi naghahabol pagdating ng June 1. And then kami talaga, we focus on the bottom of the pyramid. So talagang priority yung mga mahihirap na members, those that have loans less than 20,000. Tapos, i-encourage ang members to go with the normal payment and restructuring. Tapos, i-minimize yung refinancing. Kasi yun naman yung lumabas doon sa research natin, no? Doon sa rapid assessment. Okay. And then, so yung loan po namin ngayon, ang tawag namin ay SEDPI Joint Venture Capital Contribution. Tapos yung savings ni nanay, yan naman po ay Joint Venture Counterpart. So pag pinagsama mo yon, that's the capital of the joint venture. So those that have greater than 1 year na membership, up to 10,000 yung pwede nila na makuha na additional capital, refinancing from us or renewal. Tapos, pag less than 1 year, up to 5,000 lang. So, I made these rules para mabilis na natatandaan ng mga financial inclusion officers, yung mga frontliners natin. yung eligible na joint venture amount ay half lang of the last loan amount as long as mayroon pang community quarantines na nai-implement. Pero once na ma-lift na yung community quarantines, then we go back to the original eligibility amounts na po pwede sa kanila. Okay? So, and then there is no increase in amount of capital, yung loan amount or the joint venture contribution while we are in GCQ. Tapos mas i-encourage din namin that our members will get the lesser term loans, which is the 3-month term compared sa 6 months, because we never know what's going to happen. Ang pakiramdam ko talaga ay inevitable that we will have a worse second wave, and that would be maybe about siguro mga September or October this year. So if you're able to give the 6-month loan tapos tinamaan sila sa second wave ng COVID pandemic, baka mas mahihirapan tayong maka-cope, no? With this situation. So yun, so 10% service charge for 3 months and then 20% for 6 months. Pero pag lumampas na yan ng 6 months, wala pong dagdag yun. Walang accrual, walang compounding. Tapos yung target na weekly amortization should be the same or lower than the previous amortization nila. For the restructuring, so this is what we do, get the outstanding balance and then divide the outstanding balance by 24 weeks maximum. Pero wala nang additional interest yan. Kasi usually yung iba, kinakapitalize yung interest tapos nag-i-interest pa. If members want to renew the joint venture, advance payments are allowed, tapos yung normal option would apply to them. If members need fresh capital in the middle of the payment, the refinancing option applies. Okay, so marami sa inyo nakikita ko na nagtitake ng picture ng aking mga notes. Bibigay ko itong PowerPoint ko sa inyo, walang problema. Alam niyo naman ako ay naniniwala talaga na the more you share, the more you gain, di ba? So, ayun, siguro yung iba nagtataka, hala, bakit kaya si Vince may microfinance na siya pero sinishare niya lahat-lahat? Kayo naman, hindi na kayo nasanay sa akin. Yan po talaga ang aking prinsipyo, okay? So, sa restructuring naman with refinancing, so we go with the restructuring policies. Tapos sa refinancing, maximum lang ng 10,000 talaga. And then the loan term ay 3 to 6 months. And yung service charge, ganun pa rin. Pero yung restructured plus refinance amount niya dapat ay hindi lalagpas from the original loan na nakuha niya. Okay? At ang minimum amount for refinancing ay nasa 3,000 pesos for more than 1 year and then 2,000 pesos naman for less than 1 year. Okay? So, yung ginagawa po namin, ang tawag namin ay social microfinance because we are no longer interest-based. We treat our members as partners. No? So, from conventional microfinance, we transformed our working capital to social SEDPI joint venture contribution. And then, yung savings ay kinonvert din namin ito as member joint venture counterpart. Okay, so that is our shift from conventional to social. Tapos profit sharing kami and loss sharing. Sa creditor-debtor kasi, kahit na wala nang maibayad si creditor, may utang pa rin siya sa'yo at sisingilin mo pa rin siya. No? Of course, mas malaking discussion ito. I think we have to schedule another webinar for this, yung social microfinance na dinidescribe namin. No? So, yun. Ito naman yung namin, no, recommendations in the broader community natin, no? Pivot to recovery and going towards the better normal. So, for the government, talagang feeling ko dapat yung Microfinance Council nga ay maglabas ng statement ng mag-ask ng mass testing. Hindi po universal testing yung ina-ask natin. Mass testing para tayo ay alam natin yung risk na kinakaharap natin. So kasi ngayon, ipinasa na yan sa private sector at kasama tayo doon. No? Imagine, ako siguro kung kasing yaman ko lang yung ibang mga giant microfinance institutions natin, I would be doing mass testing for our members. Pero, Diyos ko, wala po kaming ganong pera. So yun, sana i-consider ng Mindanao Microfinance Council to come up with a unified statement asking the government na i-prioritize ang mass testing lalo na sa mga low-income groups. Contact tracing and isolation at saka i-increase yung healthcare capacity. Tapos, yun, mag-ask pa rin tayo ng cash assistance. Pero yung cash assistance na to, ang pwede kasi ay 0% loan na maipapasa sa mga members. So if we are yung Ateneo SEDPI Microfinance Capacity Building Program is trying to write to the Land Bank of the Philippines and the Development Bank of the Philippines. Kung may line kayo sa kanila, magkakaroon ng sana ng pondo na pwedeng maibigay yung yung Land Bank at DBP na pwede nating maibigay sa mga members natin at 0% interest na i-blend natin doon sa ating existing loan products. Kasi yung interest na i-bear ng mga members natin, ultimately burden yun sa kanila eh. So this is a way na yung government financial institutions would really be able to lighten the burden of our microenterprises. Yun, financial inclusion then, which means opening of bank accounts. And then we're also asking yung SSS, Pag-IBIG and GSIS na yung calamity loans nila, 0% dapat yun dahil, di ba, pera naman natin yun eh. Nagko-contribute tayo sa SSS at yung nauutang lang natin na calamity loan ay maximum ng 80% ng contribution ng SSS natin. Eh bakit pa tayo i-interesan, di ba? So sana ay tanggalin yung interest na yon para makatulong sa atin, lalong-lalo na sa mga employees ng microfinance institutions because we do have SSS. And with this, I think we would be able to have enabling fiscal and monetary policies that would really penetrate the microenterprise level at hindi lang yung mga corporations natin, no? For the wholesalers of funds, no, BPI, Land Bank, DPP, Small Business Corporation, actually, ang sinasabi ko sa kanila, dalawa yung choice ninyo eh. Ang choice ninyo ay mag-charge kayo ngayon, i-restructure ninyo ngayon, pero i-bear pa rin ng MFI lahat ng risk at mas mahihirapan siyang bumangon. At ako pinipredict ko talaga na maraming magsasarang mga microfinance institutions ngayon because of this. Yan yung isa nyong choice. Hintayin nyong mag-default. Pero pangalawa, you have another choice. You convert your loan now into equity to these microfinance institutions para walang pressure on repayments, mawawala yung liquidity problem, at saka mawawala din yung burden to repay the interest. What will happen after is kapag nakarecover na yung microfinance institution, ibabalik yung equity kay financial institution, kay BPI, kay Land Bank, or kay SBC, tapos may kasama ng dividend. I think mas malaki yung chance na makaka-recover tayo kung ito yung mangyayari instead na mananatiling interest-bearing loans yung maiiwan sa atin na hindi naman natin alam kung yung mga micro-enterprises natin ay kaya pa rin nilang papasanin itong mga interest na ito, no? Another would be for them to offer 0% loans kasi ang hirap talaga ngayon ng to restart. Just to share with you our financial resources. So we started noong 2004 up to 2009, bootstrapping ang tawag namin dyan. So sarili naming pera yung ginamit namin. Kaya wala talagang growth, no? Ang liit. At from the 2010 to 2016, ito naman po yung nangyari, yung debt-driven growth. Nakikita nyo po yung blue, dyan, no? Yung blue, ito I will annotate it for you, no? This one. Ayan, the blue part. Yan po ay ang funds na nanggaling from the commercial banks. So yung growth po talaga ng SEDPI from 2010, no, to 2016, ito, this part, talagang debt-driven siya. Okay? And a lot of our microfinance institutions, ganyan yung nangyari. Sadly, Noong 2016, naka-experience po kami na kami ay hindi nabayaran, no, ng isang MFI. Tapos doon ko talaga naramdaman na, wait lang, may MFI ako client na hindi makapagbayad. Ang fund na ginamit ko ay galing kay Land Bank, galing kay DBP, galing kay BPI. Ako lang yung nag-absorb nung risk. Nagbayad pa rin ako sa kanila. Binalik ko pa rin sa kanila yung pera at saka yung interest sa kanila pa rin. So, ang nangyari, ako yung risk mitigation strategy ng mga commercial banks pala. So, sabi ko, hindi ito fair. Kasi ako na nga itong maliit, pero ako pa rin yung lahat ng nag-bear ng risk noong losses na yon. So, kaya dapat talaga, and that's the reason why we are clamoring more for risk sharing and profit sharing. So, ang nangyari po ngayon, if you take a look at this, no, yan, yung naka-encircle ngayon, the orange part, that is our retooling and re-strategizing na ginawa namin. We are focusing on equity. So, unti-unti siya na lumalaki na nakikita ninyo, pero diyan kami papunta. Ang ginagawa namin ngayon, we're mobilizing equity to replace the loans that we got from the commercial banks. Okay. So our way forward would look this way. We will be eliminating debt. So yung blue part, makikita ninyo, ay wala na po siya pagdating ng 2025. At naging orange na lahat, which is the equity part, no? On the equity part, which will come from socially responsible investments. And we are making our social mission as our market positioning to differentiate ourselves from the traditional, no, yung mga mutual funds, mga UITFs, the stock market. And I've been helping other cooperatives to do this. For example, ang Tagum Cooperative ay marami ang nag-open ng account sa kanila at nagsisave sa kanila dahil parati kong ginagamit sila na example. And I am moving towards that. Inuunti-unti ko na ang Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives sa Ilocos, ganyan din po yung ginagawa ko. At may mga nag-open ng mga membership sa kanila, nagpapamember, para sila ay suportahan. So, yun. So, I think not to end this, there's really a mix of development strategies that we need to do. And we have to make our primary stakeholders, in this case, yung mga microenterprises, sila yung nasa sentro, no? At tayo ay susuporta sa kanilang growth because if they die, we also die. Okay? Market-based solutions ay hindi lang yan yung solution eh. Kasi di ba ang ano natin parati ay the market should work. But we should also take into consideration what we call the social or shared economy, which is really on the profit sharing and risk sharing. Tapos, lastly, ay cooperation and partnership. And that's what we do with the public, with the government, with the private sector, and even with you as other microfinance institutions, and of course, the civil society. So, yan po yung ano namin, no, yung aming session. If you would like to know more how yung details kung paano po ito ginagawa, we will be coming up with online courses with a very, very minimal fee, no? Na alam natin ang sitwasyon ngayon. Kung gusto ninyong i-replicate yung aming rapid community assessment tool na mabilis yan na nagagawa, 3 days lang na research tapos pinapasok sa Excel, makikita na agad yung resulta ng research, pwede po naming ituro yan sa inyo if you want to do that. If you also want us to assist you in business continuity planning, we will be having online courses on that also. And more importantly, yung measuring disaster risk management and engagement, from planning to risk assessment, institutional resilience, yung stakeholder collaboration ninyo, and community protection, these are things that we are going to put online. And if you're interested, of course, you are very much welcome to get in touch with us. So, iyan po yung aming contact details. Nandyan ang aking personal mobile phone if you want to directly get in touch with me. So, yan po ang aking presentation. I would be glad to entertain questions if you have. Ang haba po ng aking discussion.